What the Study Says.
Welcome back to What the Study Says. I'm Dr. Kai.
And I'm Dr. May. You know, it's really fascinating how some old remedies pop back up, isn't it? Especially in wellness trends.
Oh, definitely. Promises everywhere.
Right. And usually science is like, hold on a sec. But sometimes something simple, like from your kitchen pantry, actually surprises us.
And it turns out there's some real science behind it.
Exactly. Which brings us to today's deep dive. Apple cider vinegar. ACV.
That's right, ACV. It's been a folk remedy star for ages, hasn't it? Digestion, detox, you name it.
But today we're cutting through all that anecdotal stuff. We want to give you, our listener, the clear, evidence-based picture. What do the studies actually show?
And we really dug into the research ourselves. We're focusing on, well, two big areas. Weight management, which gets a lot of the buzz, and then something quite unexpected. Potential effects on neurological health. Specifically, things related to Alzheimer's disease.
Yeah, that second one really caught my eye. Okay, so let's dive in, starting with metabolic health and the big one, obesity.
Absolutely. It's a huge global health challenge in the 21st century, no question.
The scale of it is just massive.
It really is. Think about it. 857 million overweight adults globally back in 1980 jumped to 2013. 2.1 billion.
Wow.
And it's not just about weight itself, it's a major risk factor for so many metabolic diseases, type 2 diabetes, kidney problems, heart issues.
It really sets the stage for why this research matters. So, okay, ACV and weight. What did that 2017 animal study find? Halima and colleagues, right?
Yeah, that's the one. So they took mare albino rats and put them on a high-fat diet for several weeks, designed to make them gain weight.
Standard procedure for this kind of research.
Exactly. Then some groups also got ACV daily. And the key finding, the high-fat diet definitely packed on the pounds, but the ACV actually lessened that weight gain. It sort of attenuated it, as the study says.
Interesting. So even on the fatty diet, ACV made a difference. Did they just eat less, or was something else going on?
Good question. It looks like a bit of both, maybe. The high-fat diet itself made the rats eat a bit less than rats on a normal diet, probably because it was so rich.
Makes sense.
But the group getting ACV as well ate even less than the high-fat diet group. That suggests ACV itself might have an effect on appetite.
Like sending a fullness signal somehow.
Potentially. The science here gets really interesting. They think acetic acid, that's the main active stuff in vinegar, is the key.
Okay.
One idea is that acetic acid might signal the brain in a way that boosts serotonin. And that could lead to reduced appetite.
A chemical nudge telling the brain, hey, we're good.
Sort of. And there's more. ACV might help disperse fat, making it easier for enzymes to break down fat tissue. It could also suppress fat accumulation at a cellular level, maybe even regulate how fat cells are formed.
So it's potentially working on multiple fronts. Appetite, fat breakdown, fat storage.
Exactly. It's not just one simple thing.
Okay, those are animal studies. Compelling. But the million-dollar question, does this hold up in humans?
Right. And that's where a more recent human study comes in, from 2023, published in BMJ and PA.
Okay, what did that one show?
It looked at overweight and obese individuals, and it found that ACV consumption led to, and I quote, an improvement in anthropometric and metabolic parameters.
Anthropometric meaning body measurements, like weight, BMI.
Exactly. Weight, BMI, waist circumference, things like that. And metabolic parameters, too, like blood sugar or cholesterol levels.
Now, that's significant. And what makes this study particularly strong?
This is crucial. They tracked diet and physical activity. And there were no significant differences between the group taking ACV and the group taking a placebo.
So the lifestyle factors were controlled for.
Precisely. Which strongly suggests the improvements seen were actually caused by the ACV intake itself. It isolates ACV's effect. That's what you want to see.
That really strengthens the case.
Yeah.
Okay, so beyond weight, what about lipid profiles? Cholesterol, triglycerides, the heart health stuff. Did the animal study look at that?
It did. And predictably, the high-fat diet messed things up. It significantly increased total cholesterol, triglycerides, the bad LDL cholesterol, VLDL.
And lowered the good HDL.
Yep, lowered HDL. Exactly the pattern you don't want for heart health. It spells trouble down the line.
And ACV's effect. Please tell me it helped.
It did. The ACV treatment really improved that lipid profile. It brought down the total cholesterol, triglycerides, VLDL, LDL.
Yay.
And importantly, it increased the good HDL cholesterol. And these effects were even clearer after 9 weeks of treatment.
So a sustained benefit. That's important
Because it points towards reducing atherogenic risk, basically lowering the risk of plaque buildup in arteries, which leads to heart disease.
Okay, so potentially good for the waistline and the heart. What else? You mentioned oxidative stress earlier.
Right. That high-fat diet also caused a big increase in reactive oxygen species, ROS. Think of them as damaging free radicals.
Creating oxidative stress, like internal rust.
Good analogy. It overwhelms the body's natural antioxidant defenses. The internal cleanup crew gets swamped.
And ACV, did it lend a hand?
It really did. The study showed ACV significantly reduced that oxidative stress. It boosted the antioxidant defense system.
How did they measure that?
They looked at specific antioxidant enzymes, Superoxide Dismutase, SOD, and Catalase, CAT. Their activity went up with ACV.
So the body's defense force got stronger.
Exactly. And meanwhile, MDA, that's Malondialdehyde, a marker of cell damage, went down. Plus, levels of glutathione, GSH, often called the master antioxidant, also improved.
Wow, that's a comprehensive antioxidant effect.
It really demonstrates a boost to the body's internal defenses against damage.
Okay, the study didn't stop there, did it? Kidney function and minerals.
Nope, covered those too.
Yeah.
The high-fat diet again caused problems. Elevated urea and creatinine levels in the blood, signs of kidney stress or dysfunction.
Red flags for the kidneys.
And it messed with mineral balance. Lower magnesium, phosphorus, vitamin E, calcium, but higher iron, interestingly.
A real cascade of issues from that diet.
Definitely. But again, ACV stepped in. It attenuated these changes, basically lessened them, and helped normalize these levels in the rats.
So it buffered the negative effects.
Yes. And notably, the study mentioned ACV seemed particularly beneficial for calcium levels by the end of the 9 weeks. So a potential plus for mineral balance and kidney markers too.
Okay, the metabolic stuff is pretty compelling. But now, let's shift gears, because this next part is where things get, frankly, unexpected.
Right. We're moving from the kitchen counter to brain health. Specifically, a potential link between ACV and Alzheimer's disease.
This is from that 2020 study in the Journal of Food Biochemistry, Tripathi and colleagues.
That's the one. It's really quite groundbreaking work. They wanted to see if ACV could have a therapeutic effect on Alzheimer's-like symptoms.
How did they even study that?
They used male Swiss albino mice, and they induced Alzheimer's-like conditions using a combination of a high-fat diet plus chronic zinc intake over 3 months.
Zinc. Why zinc?
High levels of zinc, especially combined with a high-fat diet, are known to trigger cognitive problems and damage to hippocampal neurons, which is very relevant to Alzheimer's pathology.
Okay, a specific model to mimic aspects of the disease. And the ACV they used, was it just regular store-bought?
Good point. No, it was described as a nutraceutical beverage. So likely standardized or enriched, it contains significant amounts of phenolics and flavonoids.
Ah, those powerful plant compounds known for antioxidant and anti-inflammatory effects.
Exactly. So they started small, looking at effects in vitro and cell cultures, mouse neuroblastoma cells, N2A cells.
What did they find at that cellular level?
They treated the cells with something called STZ to induce toxicity, which, as expected, decreased cell viability, basically killed cells.
Standard toxicity test.
Right, but here's the key. When they pre-treated the cells with ACV, it significantly increased cell survival. It protected the cells.
Better than other compounds.
Yes, the study actually states ACV provided more protection compared to chrysin and rivastigmine, which are other compounds sometimes studied or used in this context. So direct neuroprotection at the cellular level.
Okay, that's cell survival. What about the specific Alzheimer's markers? Tau tangles, amyloid plaques?
ACV showed positive effects there too. It seemed to counteract the hyperphosphorylation of tau protein, that's what leads to tangles, and also amyloid accumulation, which forms plaques.
Hitting the two main hallmarks of AD pathology in the cell model. That's really something.
It is, showing potential against the fundamental mechanisms of the disease.
Okay, so from the cells to the mice themselves, did these benefits translate to behavior? Did the mice actually get smarter or less impaired?
They looked closely at that using standard behavioral tests. And yes, the high-fat diet plus zinc definitely impaired learning and memory.
How did they measure that? Things like maze tests?
Exactly. Morris water maze was one. The impaired mice took longer to find a hidden platform, spent less time searching in the right area. Other tests showed poor memory retention, loss of long-term memory, classic signs of cognitive decline in these models.
And ACV's impact?
It was significant. With ACV pre-treatment, the mice found the platform much faster, a significant drop in the escape latency. They spent more time in the target quadrant, showed better spatial memory overall.
So a measurable cognitive improvement.
Yes, the researchers concluded ACV exhibited better protection to recover memory functions compared to the other compounds tested, a direct boost to cognition.
Incredible. What about the biochemistry inside the brain? Did they see that antioxidant effect we talked about earlier?
They did. The zinc and high-fat diet combo ramped up oxidative stress in the brain tissue itself. Higher MDA levels, the damage marker, lower levels of the protective enzymes, GSH and SOD.
An ACV.
It acted like an antioxidant powerhouse in the brain. Pre-treatment significantly boosted SOD and GSH levels and brought down MDA. The study highlighted its higher antioxidant potential right there in the brain tissue.
Protecting the brain cells from that oxidative damage.
Precisely. Critical for neuronal health.
Okay, one more biochemical marker they looked at. Acetylcholinesterase, ACE. Why is that important for Alzheimer's?
Right, AC. High activity of this enzyme is linked to AD because it breaks down acetylcholine.
Which is a crucial neurotransmitter for memory and learning.
Exactly. So you don't want too much ACE activity. The zinc high-fat diet increased its activity significantly in the mouse brains.
And ACV.
ACV pretreatment prevented elevation of ACE activity. It significantly reduced it compared to the zinc-treated group. Another piece of the puzzle showing how ACV might support cognitive function by preserving that key neurotransmitter.
Wow. Okay, so behavior biochemistry. What about the actual physical structure? Did they look at the brain tissue itself?
Histopathology. Yes, the gold standard, really. Looking under the microscope, they found the zinc high-fat diet caused degeneration of hippocampal pyramidal neurons.
Damage in the hippocampus, the memory center. A classic AD sign.
Exactly. But the ACV treatment protected those neurons. It prevented that degeneration.
How did it compare to the other compounds?
Interestingly, the study found ACD was comparable to chrysin in protecting neurons, and both were significantly better than rivastigmine in this specific model. So direct, visible evidence of neuroprotection.
Okay, let's first pause and take that all in. It's kind of staggering for something like apple cider vinegar.
It really is.
So wrapping this up, we've gone from weight management, improved cholesterol, boosted antioxidant defenses.
All the way to neuroprotection, improved cognitive function in mice, protection against cellular damage linked to Alzheimer's.
It's a remarkably broad range of potential benefits, backed by some pretty rigorous science, both in cell cultures and animal models. This isn't just grandma's remedy talk.
Not at all. It's actual research showing concrete, measurable effects. Of course, more research, especially large-scale human trials for the neurological aspects, is needed. But the initial findings are compelling.
It definitely makes you think, doesn't it? It really challenges us to look again at these everyday items.
Absolutely. It raises that provocative thought. What else is hiding in plain sight in our kitchens or gardens? What other simple staples might hold unexpected health secrets, just waiting for the science to catch up?
A fascinating question indeed. Well, if you found this deep dive into the surprising science of ACV as eye-opening as we did,
Make sure you subscribe. That way you won't miss our next exploration into what the studies really say.
and please share this deep dive. Share it with anyone who's curious about the real science behind health and wellness trends.